Hi everyone. In this video, we'll be looking into a game between Grandmaster Alireza Firouzja and Grandmaster Maxime Vachier-Lagrave from the Global Chess League between Team Firouzja and Team MVL. Let's jump right into the game. Firouzja starting with the white pieces go for 1, knight to c3. MVL replies with c5, d4, c takes on d4, queen takes on d4, knight to c6, queen to a4, e6, e4, bishop to c5, knight to f3, d6, e5, d takes on e5, knight takes on e5, knight to e7, knight to e4, bishop to b4 with check, c3, queen to d5, bishop to d3, queen takes on e5, c takes on b4, f5, f4, queen to d4, knight to f2, queen takes on b4 with check, queen takes on b4, knight takes on b4, bishop to b1, bishop to d7, bishop to d2, knight on b to d5. Firouzja goes for castling, rook to c8, rook to e1, MVL also castles, bishop to d3, rook on f to d8, b3, king to f7, rook on a to c1, rook takes on c1, rook takes on c1, bishop to c6, g3, knight to f6, bishop to f5, rook to d7, bishop to f1, bishop to e4, rook to c7, rook takes on c7, bishop takes on c7, knight to c6, bishop to d6, knight to d4, bishop to c5, knight to f3 with check, king to g2, b6, knight takes on e4, knight to e1 with check, king to g1, knight takes on e4, bishop to e3, knight to c2, bishop to c1, knight to b4, a3, knight to d5, bishop to c4, king to e7, king to f1, king to d6, king to e2, king to c5, a4, knight to d6, bishop to a3 with check, king to c6, bishop to d3, g6, king to d2, f5, bishop to b2, knight to e4 with check, king to e2, king to c5, bishop to c4, knight to d6, bishop to a3 with check, king to c6, bishop to d3, knight to b4, bishop to b1, b5, a takes on b5 with check, knight takes on b5, bishop to b2, king to d5, king to e3, knight to d6, bishop to f6, knight to b7, king to d2, knight to c5, king to c3, knight to e4 with check, bishop takes on e4 with check, f takes on e4, bishop to d8, knight to c6, bishop to b6, h5, h3, e5, f takes on e5, king takes on e5, king to c4, king to d6, bishop to c5 with check, king to e6, bishop to b6, g5, king to c5, knight to e7, bishop takes on a5, e3, bishop to e1, king to e5, b4, g4, h takes on g4, h takes on g4, b5. So if you look at this position, after 69 moves into the game, match is pretty much balanced. So there is only one move for MVL to continue this game in a balanced position, and that move is bringing the king back to e6 and to keep an eye on this pawn as well with the help of the knight. But instead, in the game, he played knight to d5, and his idea is to trade off the knight for the pawn, but this is a mistake because if MVL continues to play this idea, Firouzja has a winning advantage, and Firouzja pushes the pawn to b6, and MVL traded the knight for the pawn and played knight takes on b6, king takes on b6. So after the trade, it is Firouzja who is winning with an advantage of plus 6.7, and MVL continues with king to d5, king to b5, e2, king to b4, king to d4, king to b3, king to d3, king to b2, king to d4, king to c2, king to e3, king to c3, king to e4, king to d2, king to f3. So if you look at this position, it looks like MVL is holding on to everything. He is defending both his pawns, and once the king moves, this pawn falls and the game will be over. And this pawn is defended by the bishop as well. This is more like a Zugzwang position for MVL. If he doesn't have to move here, he is pretty much fine. White to play, and white play king to d3. And here if you look at the squares king has, there's only one square. So once the king moves to g2, then it will be king takes on e2 and the game is over. And this pawn is defended by the bishop as well. So it was in this position. After 79 moves into the game, Maxime Vachier-Lagrave resigned to Alireza Firouzja. And at the end of the match, it was Team Firouzja who manages to defeat Team MVL as well.